turn back the clock, I probably would have stayed in real estate. I would have had a lot less bumps and bruises at this point in my life. You know, I stayed out of wrestling, but I just fell in love with wrestling, and you know, just being in front of a crowd, I missed that. And so I got back in shape, and you know, became Big Man Vader. And you know,
I mean,
just wanted to clear.
You can't complain too much. I mean, you did go on to, you know, I guess you had some sort of wrestling career. I mean, that was kind of okay, I guess. So,
thank you. You know what? I'm not complaining at all. I just you know, I did well. I mean, you know, I've got world titles around the globe, and I've been around the world maybe 25 times, and you know, it's hard work. So wrestling isn't all about being on TV, and wrestling is hard work. And back in my era, maybe a little bit harder than it is today, but I don't know. It's you know, they call it entertainment, and I call it a sport because you are competing every day of your life. You're fighting for that spot, and you know, I really do. I feel. You know, the companies in my prime, they looked at me to be the top guy. I mean, I've got I don't know, 12, 13, 14 world titles over in Japan. And you know what? It's tough enough just as an American, just to be called up by Inoki or Baba or Mizawa from Noah, Mitsuharu Mizawa, who is, may he rest in peace. We all know he took a bad bump and of course there was Nobu Takada. He ran that shoe fighting group. You know, it's just hard enough to get called up and get a spot, get a shot, and then to go over there and, you know, become the top guy in the company. You know, people like Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody and myself. You know, that's a tough deal to go over in Japan and compete and then become a world champion and draw money, draw houses over in Japan. That's back in my day. And you know, you remember that iron mastodon mask that I have?
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay, well, that's one of a kind in the world. There's nothing else like it. And Vader was actually a samurai warrior. Everyone thought it had something to do with Star Wars, which was crazy, but it was how the Japanese settled disputes in that day. Was they'd find the toughest guy from each village, and they'd roll out to a little island, and they'd fight. And how the story goes was Vader, and if you look at it, it kind of, you know, the helmet was designed by a Japanese designer, and it was designed from a character named Vader, and it was the headgear of a samurai warrior. And if you look at it, that's, you know, how it was designed. I mean, you know, the chest plate and the face mask, and if you envision those movies you've seen, you know, it looks like, you know, the samurai warrior would be wearing that and have a sword in his hand. But anyway, supposedly the folklore is that the Vader and this other champion from the other village, they rode out to an island, and they fought for 72 hours and died at each other's feet. So when Inoki gave me that, we had sold out. I debuted with Inoki, and Inoki had not been beaten in about 7 or 8 years. He had gone undefeated for 7 or 8 years, and we were in Sumo Palace, and it was sold out. And I debuted against him, and I beat him in about 4 minutes, and people just, they flipped out, and they started rioting and throwing stuff and burning their pillows, and I'm thinking, man, is it like this every night in Japan? And get me back to America. And we sold out for a long time, but 2 or 3 years, every night from that night. But at the end of the first year of those sellouts, he gave me this mask, and kind of in recognition of being part of all that. So that's kind of cool. And you know, again, it's hard just to get over there, and then it's really hard to, you know, again, not many Americans have gone over there and had a lot of success. And certainly Stan Hansen is legendary over there, and Bruiser Brody, and may he rest in peace.
you wrestled with a lot of superstars, big name guys, Hall of Famers from all over the world. I mean, the resume is ridiculously impressive. From Hogan, Nikita Koloff, Davey Boy Smith to
everybody. You got your Sting. Man, I tell you what, Sting, what a talented wrestler he is. I'm glad to see him going to the WWE. And but we had some matches that were just off the chart, and we had great chemistry. We just we mixed well together, and had some great crowds and great matches, Sting and I.
I want to ask your opinion on two wrestlers. First thing that kind of comes to your mind when I name them. One is a manager, one is a wrestler. One's a Hall of Famer, one should be a Hall of Famer. Well, we'll start with the Hall of Famer, Paul Bearer.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What's your feeling on Paul Bearer?
Well, Paul, obviously, his character was perfect. I mean, him and the Undertaker were the perfect combination. And you look at all the legendary matches that Paul Bearer was part of with Undertaker, and that team, that duo, how much money they drew as a team, as a pair, and they were good friends, and they rode together, and just to me, I think that team, Paul Bearer and Undertaker, I think there should be a separate category, and the team of the Undertaker and Paul Bearer should be put in the Hall of Fame as a team. That's kind of a new concept, and that I don't think no one's really thought of. Like, obviously someday, I think Jim Ross just recently said Lesnar was a Hall of Famer before he left the house, and what he's done the last few matches against Undertaker and Cena, it's just off the chart. But I mean, obviously Heyman and Lesnar should be, I think, as a team in the Hall of Fame someday, and then obviously individually, they'll be considered individually as well, and maybe Harley Race and myself would have some consideration in that same fashion, and then Harley is already in the Hall of Fame by himself, not as a manager, as a wrestler. So, again, Paul Bearer was just tremendous, and may he rest in peace.
And
seems like we're saying much. Wrestling's a tough sport, and it takes a toll. And obviously, all these great men are, going before the time, and it's tough to travel and do what we do. So when people call it entertainment or fake, it really offends me. And this is this is the most. I've competed on the highest level in football. In college and as a professional, and it doesn't begin to compare to competing in professional wrestling. I've done both, so I guess my opinion would probably matter a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we spoke to Hulk Hogan a couple of weeks ago, and he says, the outcome might be predetermined, but gravity never takes a day off.
Well said. And congratulations to Hulk. I mean, he just, he's well deserved. I mean, for him to give back to WWE, it's marriage, I think, made in heaven, and I'm truly happy for him and the WWE. And I think it adds to it to have Hulk there. I mean, he's kind of the one that started it all,
Yep.
Creating Hulk Hogan and guys like him and The Rock and Stone Cold and et cetera. So there's just, you can't name them all, so you don't want to leave anyone out. But
well, one gentleman I'd like to ask you about, the other one, another wrestler that I think everybody feels should be in the Hall of Fame. He left us way too early in life. You worked with him in WCW, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
So how was it to work with him?
You know what? I was involved with Randy, never in a single match, and in a tag match, we locked up and did a couple spots, but never really got to, I don't want to sit here and talk about working with him because I don't think I really, I've done a few things with him in tag matches, but you get to know someone like when I'm talking about Mick Foley or Sting or HBK or, Mitsuharu Misawa and Kobashi and Akiyama and Inoki and all these guys. You're talking about, spending a little time with it. I can't say I've had the honor to have done that with Randy. Our paths crossed, and obviously just fantastic character and great athlete. And, I think one day he'll have his place in wrestling for sure. So.
Well, we all hope so. I'm hoping we're hoping this year, but this coming WrestleMania. But who knows? Who knows what goes on? You have some engagements coming up. September 20th, you'll be at Legends of the Ring in Monroe, New Jersey, and September 21st at Wrestling Spectacular in Middletown, New York, at two conventions. What's your plans for the conventions? What exactly are you going to be doing there?
Well, also I got to mention the Wrestling Syndicate. I'm going to. I think it's the 20th or 21st.
Okay.
Wrestling Syndicate just gave me a call, and I'm going to go over there and sign out of us after one of the conventions. I believe it's the 20th.
Okay, so that would be after Legends in New Jersey.
Yeah, so, I'll be at the Wrestling Syndicate, and they're back at their old arena, I understand. And so I have 3 shots out there now, and I'm not wrestling in any of them. I kind of like that. I'm signing autographs. I will be bringing the Mastodon mask, and that, you know what? That's it's such an awesome thing. You see it in pictures, and it's so massive. And I've never had it in that part of America before. But I offer the fans, you can touch it as long as you be careful with it, and then you can take a picture with me and it. We can hold it, hold it and stand side by side, and you could actually wear it, put it on, and take a picture. So I'll tell you, I was down at the Fan Fest in Charlotte with it, and man, it was a big hit down there. And I hooked up with Ron Simmons. It was the 20th anniversary of 22nd anniversary of the day Ron Simmons beat me for the WCW Heavyweight Champion of the World and became the first African-American heavyweight champion in the history of professional wrestling. And you know what? We did a photo op, and we sat together and signed autographs together, and what a gentleman, what a ball. I mean, Ron Simmons, the Hall of Famer, and, it was great. It was, I really do. And of all the matches I've had some good ones. I've had some big moments in the ring, great matches. I mean, I've had great matches with Stan Hansen, the one where he pulled my eye out. I had great matches with Inoki and all the top Japanese stars. You just can't list them all. Choshu and Mizawa and Akiyama, and it just, there's just so many of them you can't name them all. But and then of course with Mick Foley and Sting and HBK and Undertaker, and then over in Europe, Big Olive Awesome. But that match with Ron that night, even though I lost, I consider that my best match. That was the biggest pop I've ever heard, ever. The gentleman in the front row was actually there, and we got a photo together, the one that was jumping up and down when Ron pinned me, and we got that huge explosion, and he was jumping up and down and started crying, and he was a young African-American kid at the time. He's older now, but the three of us got a photo together at Fan Fest, and it was great. It was a great time. And Ron Simmons, he is a good guy, good gentleman, and Uh,